I think what I love the most about Iruma is the fact that so many people will look at what he's doing as such a big brain move. But from Iruma's perspective, I don't think he plans as much as most people assume. And I can only think of that meme of just, someone just kind of being like, you can't have points if you eat your points. So therefore, no one will steal your points, so you might as well make a big dinner. And from our boy's perspective, he's kind of looking at Iruma being like, you know what, it kind of makes sense in a weird way. I didn't really see where he was going with this, but it's the fact that the guy's he's just assuming that he's trying to outweight them, but really Iruma's he's having some PTSD moments here of like his original life with his shitty ass parents before he was soared to best grandpa. And Iruma is just enjoying the wilderness. He sees pillows where there's rocks or tree stumps. He sees vines where they're really blankets to him. I love the fact that Iruma is such an innocent cinnamon roll, man. He can turn the Harvest Festival, which is scheming, manipulating who's gonna steal points from who, and turn it into let's have a giant dinner and enjoy the night. And I love Iruma for that alone. But I think what I like about this episode is that instead of like just saying, okay, because you end last week with the cliffhanger, they're targeting Iruma. The assumption I think most people had, myself included, was Iruma will maybe put that bow to work. Yes, he has a limited amount of uses, but if there's ever a moment to maybe have to do something or put that training to use, that seemed to be it. And instead, they bait us in, and instead, it's just they watch and they leave because they're eating the points we wanted to steal. It's like, yes, they're going to have a nice full stomach and be more energized than a lot of people, but still, like, they don't have points. To then shift the focus to our boy Lee, the poor bastard, he's just so dumbfounded by what's happening, and then he gets so hardly manipulated at the end with Clara and the other, the seductiveness is off the chart. I mean, I've been saying it for a while, we're not ready for sexy Clara, and I don't know where that, you're now inside my weird costume suit, which we knew it was her for a while, it just was obvious, but I wasn't sure what the purpose was. Seemingly, it's probably to get those into a close space because, at face value, no one's going to be attracted to that weird bear-looking creature. But if she grabs someone and pulls them in, that's how you can start getting the flustered emotions going. So maybe that's her signature move. I don't know. Safe to say, though, who got it the worst was our boy who when you have someone who essentially looks at everyone as potential love interest, you're in for a world of hurt unless you're into a poly relationship because our poor boy, he basically has like this secret stash of ingredients because it's smart, it's something that makes sense, and so quickly he completely lost it. Like, he held out as long as I think anyone could, but once she starts unzipping and starts fondling his chest, I mean, that was pretty much game over at that point, and I love seeing him just bash his head because he's so upset with himself, being like, I'm just so upset that you would say this to everyone, but I can't help but say, God damn it, I absolutely love you. But I think it's nice that, you're flexing the different types of teachings, and for someone who is basically teaching two girls how to seduce men, women, and the likes, I mean, this is without doubt the way to go about it. The thing I'm interested in is what is going to be like the big moment for Iruma, right? Because you pretty much bait the viewers in last week thinking we're getting into that momentum, and instead we see Iruma at his purest with, everyone's thinking, oh, Iruma's got this big plan, they're talking on the intercom there, and then it turns out he just wants to enjoy his time right now. So I'm excited to see what's going to push Iruma to not only use that new signature weapon, but most importantly, where the overall victory will end up, right? Because I truly think there's a lot of different paths that the Harvest Festival can go down, and I don't even think victory is necessarily on any particular character guaranteed, right? And I'm really interested because you don't often see these types of arcs. You see basically tournament arcs all the time in anime, and that's more or less what this is in a lot of ways. It's kind of like a survival of the fittest sort of a situation. But I think what I like about it is that because you're focusing on demons, you actually have demonic activity that's allowed. Obviously, we have our rules established, and they can't do some pretty cheap moves, but stealing, manipulating, and just doing some what is normally seen as scummy things is completely on the table. So when you have a girl seduce our boy in pretty much his secret stash, hell, he gave her the secret stash if he ever was to lose that just because he was so just flustered by what was happening. I mean, it's hard not to say, like, in any other show, you would be like, damn it, this horrible girl, like, she's manipulating our boy, what's going on? But that's exactly what this whole situation is about. It's about bringing out the best of your abilities and essentially becoming the most demonic version of you possible. And I like that Demon School is playing into that quite hard and giving everyone their chance to shine. You never quite know which character is going to be focused on next, and sure, last week definitely paints a picture of Iruma being center and from the get-go would be the star of this episode, but I love how even in an episode like this where I thought he would be, Lead ends up being even more of a star in my opinion from his just deadpan reactions, his getting swayed by Iruma's bullshit, to then just, the poor guy just wants love and is just so confused about where to go with that. And I love the fact that it knows how to have fun. Like, Demon School only gets better with each season. The more you watch, the more you love the Misfit class, and the more everyone feels like they're equally important to Iruma. And I've seen a few different people say this, both in my own comment section, I've seen it on Reddit as well, is that we know you need a certain number of people to support one to become the Demon Lord, the Demon King, right? And I think it's pretty obvious everyone assumes Iruma would be that at some point. Obviously not anytime soon, there's still seasons worth of content left to adapt and the source material's ongoing. But based on how they're going about things, I really like the theory that people have come up with where each member of the Misfit class, will be one of the key people that will end up supporting Iruma to then make him into the Demon Lord. So they'll each end up getting one of those signature titles. And I think it makes a lot of sense when you look at how they're presenting this story, especially from season 2 onwards, because it's not like it's Iruma's story. It's the Misfits class story with Iruma in the driver's seat. And in doing so, by developing each character to feel just as important as the other, you basically feel like you're building up to eventually an endgame where all of them will have an equal status level in a lot of ways and will prop up our boy to be the Demon King. It just kind of feels likely in a lot of ways. And even if that wasn't the case, I mean, they all are going to be important in their own way by the end of the story's run. And I think that's why it's so great to see a show that in season 1, I would have said Iruma and a couple of characters, Clara, a couple of others, they're the reason you watch the show for the situational shenanigans. But season 2 onwards, it turns it into the Misfits class story and how each of them are just as interesting to follow as Iruma. You could seriously drive away from Iruma's point of view for 5 episodes straight, and I'd be okay with that because this is such an interesting arc to begin with. The idea of collecting ingredients is boring on paper, but in a demon world is so great when you have manipulation, stealing, and all that other fun jazz. And not to mention all the characters just came off of different types of training, so we get those flashbacks, we get to see how they utilize it in the present day. It just makes for such a great story overall. Like, Demon School to me is still one of the most fresh ideas anime has seen. I said it ever since season 1 dropped, and I still feel that way, is that you think you know what to expect when you have Demon School and just, that school shenanigans, demons in a school. We've seen those done time and time again, but there's nothing quite like Iruma. It really does stand tall as being special, and I mean, I'm obviously excited to see where the Clara stuff's going to go next week, but most importantly, how the entire class is going to be presented, because right now I have no idea who's going to end up on top, how everything's going to progress. All I know is seeing Iruma's bow at some point feels all but guaranteed. I just don't know how they'll utilize it, but great funny stuff, but still propelling this arc forward, and without a doubt, I understand the hype about this arc, and we're still just getting started, so I know it's only going to get crazier from here, right? But of course, as always, I pass the torch over to you. What did you think of this episode? What was your favorite point? If you do have one, do let me know. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new around here. You can also consider supporting the Patreon. We got a bunch of live reaction series going over there, and you can also get video shoutouts like a few individuals are getting today. We got Jesse Kent, Murray, Atya Chakrabarti. I may have messed that up a lot, but I do appreciate the support. So please take care, everyone, and have a good one.